Good evening, you're joining the midweek edition of the State of Business with me, Nishani Figuera. Let's first take a look at tonight's headlines. Sri Lanka ranked 95th in 2016 Corruption Perception Index. And State Minister Lakshman Yapa says government is committed to recover bond losses. Sri Lanka is ranked 95 out of 176 countries in the 2016 Corruption Perception Index issued by Transparency International. Transparency International, which is the global movement against corruption, ranks countries according to the perceived level of public sector corruption. Sri Lanka has recorded a poor score of 36. The ranks are based on a scoring system that ranges between 0 and 100. The Transparency International said that a staggering 69% of the 176 countries scored below 50 in the 2016 CPI, indicating a high level of perceived public sector corruption prevalent throughout the world. Cabinet spokesperson Dr. Rajatha Senaratne says that law enforcement authorities have sent over 3,000 cases to the Attorney General seeking his advice. The minister pointed out that this is the main reason for delays in probes into corruption allegations against the members of the former regime.
නමුත් ඉතාමත් මන්දගාමී විදියට මේවා පරක්කු වෙන්නත් එක හේතුවක් තමයි රජයේ මැදිහත් නොවීම. දැන් බ්‍රයිබරි කොමිෂන් එකට කතා කරන්න කිසිම හැකියාවක් නැහැ. මොකද එතන තියෙන්නේ එතනද ඒක ස්වාධීන කළා ඉවරයි. පොලිස් කොමිසම රාජ්‍ය සේවා කොමිසම වගේ තමයි. ඒගොල්ලන්ට කතා කරයි කියලා ඒගොල්ලන්ට පිළිගන්නත් පුළුවන් අපි කියන දේ නොපිළිගන්නත් පුළුවන්. නොපිළිගත්තොත් එහෙම ඒක අපිට කරන්න දෙයක් නැහැ කිසිම දෙයක්. රජයකටවත් ජනාධිපතිවරයෙකුටත් කාටවත් මුකුත් කරන්න බෑ. හොඳයි නරකයි මේක දෙකම තියෙනවා ස්වාධීන වීම. මේ හැම එකක්ම පරීක්ෂණ වලට දීලා තියෙනවා. දීපු හැම එකම පරීක්ෂණ පවත්වන්නට පටන් ගත්තා. ඒක තමයි මුල්ම වැරද්ද කරගත්තේ පරීක්ෂණ කණ්ඩායම.
State Minister Lakshman Yapa Abhiwardena says they would do their utmost to recover the losses incurred to the government from the controversial bond issue. He also disclosed that the central bank has imposed certain restrictions on accounts of the perpetual treasuries.
මේකේ පොඩි පහේ පාඩුවක් ලංකාවට සිද්ධ වුණේ නැහැ. මේක අදත් අපි කියනවා මේක මංකොල්ලයක්. මේක තනිකරම වංචාවක්. දැන් මේ කෝප් වාර්තාව පිළිබඳ ඊයේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේදී සාකච්ඡා කරා. කෝප් වාර්තාවේ අවසාන තීන්දුව නීතිපතිවරයාට යැවීම. ඒ නීතිපතිවරයාට යවුවට පස්සේ නීතිපතිවරයාගේ මාර්ගයෙන් ඒ ක්‍රියාදාමයක් කරගෙන යන්න පුළුවන්. අපි මීට වඩා ශක්තිමත් ක්‍රියාදාමයකට අපි ඇතුල් වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඒ ක්‍රියාදාමයේ තුල අපිට මේ කටයුත්ත ඉදිරියට ගෙනියන්න පුළුවන්. ආචාර ධර්ම 5ක් 6ක් කඩලා තියෙනවා. දැන් තමුන්නාස්ලා ඇහුවා ඇයි මේකට තහනම් කරන්නේ නැත්තේ? දැන් කරුණු දෙකක් කළා තියෙනවා. ඒ කරුණු දෙක තමයි මේ මුදල්ලේ ගිණුමෙන් වෙනත් එකකට මාරු කරන්න බෑ. මහ බැංකුවකින් දීලා තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම ගනුදෙනු සීමා කළා තියෙනවා. මේ අපිට දැනට කරන්න පුළුවන් කාරණා දෙක මහ බැංකුවෙන් කළා තියෙනවා. දෙවනි පියවරේ අපේ අදහස් කීපයක් තියෙනවා. මේවා කොහොමද රජයට වෙච්ච ලාභ ගන්නෙ? ඒක අපි අතහැරලා නැහැ. රජයට දෙන අලාභ ගැනීම සඳහා අපි අවශ්‍ය පියවර ගැනීමට අපි ක්‍රියා කරනවා.
The State Minister also said that the government is committed to repay 3 trillion rupees as loan repayment and interest by 2026. He noted, in this context, renewal of GSP Plus is vital to increase the country's revenue.
අපිට 2026 වෙනකොට ට්‍රිලියන 3ක ණය ගෙවීමකට අපි යන්න ඕන. අපිට අමාරු කාල සීමාවල් කීපයක් ගත කරන්න වෙලා තියෙනවා. 2018 අපිට අමාරුයි. ඒ වාරික එන වෙලාව. ඊට පස්සේ 2019 අපිට තියෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ 2020 තියෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ 2026 තියෙනවා අපිට. මේ කාල සීමාවලට මේ අවුරුද්දේ තියෙනවා මේ රුපියල් මිලියන 1458ක දරට. ඉතින් ඒ එක්කත් අපි 2026න් පස්සේ රටේ ණය බර ඉවරයි. බහුදුරට. හැබැයි 2026 වෙනකම් බරපතල ණය බරක් තියෙනවා. ට්‍රිලියන 3ක ණය වාරික ගෙවීමක් සිද්ධ වෙනවා 2026 දී.
We slip in for a short break. Stay tuned for more news on the other side. Welcome back. You're watching The State of Business. The National Chamber of Commerce highlights the importance of having a national trade policy in order to properly negotiate trade agreements with other countries. The President-elect of NCCSL, Sujiva Samaravira, elaborated this at their 58th annual general meeting in Colombo last evening.
Since Sri Lanka is negotiating many preferential trade agreements at the moment with large and strong countries such as India, China and Singapore, The National Chamber is insisting the fact that there should be an absolute necessity to have a national trade policy for Sri Lanka, which will govern and to provide directions to any trade agreements to be signed in Sri Lanka. Further, we need to talk about anti-dumping laws. With the background of Sri Lanka entering the free trade agreements with very strong countries in the near future, it is vital to implement anti-dumping regulations in Sri Lanka. In other words, a common mechanism to protect our domestic industries from unfair trade practices. It is a necessity in Sri Lanka.
The NCCSL also welcomed the EU decision to renew the GSP Plus trade concessions to Sri Lanka. Meanwhile, Dr. Harsha De Silva, who was the guest of honour at the occasion, said Sri Lanka should make a maximum advantage of the trade agreements to leverage economic benefits.
In the US-led world order, there were very rigid entry constraints, whether it is any sort of union. Now, for instance, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the TPP that everybody was talking about, which is now dead, conditionalities on environment, on governance, on labor rights and so on. And for countries like Sri Lanka, who find it very difficult to do the smallest piece of reform, really getting on TPP would have been a massive challenge. But in contrast, look at things like RCEP, which is Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. What is that? That's ASEAN Plus. Those don't have the rigid entry constraints that groups like TPP have. So it does not mean that we need to do all kinds of reform before we enter a regional trade agreement.
And now we take a look at some stories in brief. The Anti-Corruption Front accuses that the government's actions against corruption and fraud are not satisfactory. Addressing the media, they pointed out a number of individuals who were accused of corruption and fraud are now working with the government. March 12th movement plans to start an awareness campaign in an attempt to create a new political culture. They will try to influence the political parties to nominate clean and suitable candidates for the upcoming local government polls. The Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka has directed the Ceylon Electricity Board and Lanka Electricity Company Private Limited to connect domestic rooftop solar plants to the national grid within 2 weeks from the date of application. Sri Lanka aims to add 200 megawatts of solar electricity to the national grid by 2020 and 1,000 megawatts by the year 2025. Up to November 2016, Sri Lanka had 7,904 domestic rooftop solar plants installed and connected to the national grid. Let's have a look at how the market performed after this break. Welcome back to the show. Trading at the Colombo Stock Exchange ended in a negative note today due to price losses in counters such as Nestle Lanka, John Keefe's Holdings and the Lanka Hospitals. High net worth and institutional investor participation was witnessed in Nestle Lanka, Dialog Axiata and Cargill's, whilst mixed interest was observed in TJ Lanka. Meanwhile, foreigners remained active, closing as net sellers, mainly due to foreign selling in Nestle Lanka. The all-share price index dropped 7.33 points to close at 6,127.08, and the S&P SL20 index dipped 5.07 points to close the session at 3,474.41. Turnover was 690 million rupees and 13.6 million shares were traded. Up next are the day's forex rates. And that winds up the show for tonight. We'll see you again at the same time tomorrow. Until then, thank you for watching. Good night.